Zoom.
Yeah.
Share screen.
Right.
And then click desktop one. Yes.
Okay. Now should be working.
Yeah, it's working now.
Right. So this is all the data we collect. People have access to this data. And so I did a morning walk, and this is the map I did. So I was walking from here to the coffee shop. And so this is the photos I took during my morning walk. So I started here, and then I kept walking. I took a voice note, and then I arrived to my destination, which is my favorite coffee shop, Axel, in the biology department. Yes? Great. So this is an example of what could be a field work. Right. And so the thing about this app is it's not for data analysis, it's just data collection. So it's very good for exporting. So you can export it to Google Earth. Yeah, so if you could click here, it will let you download a Google Earth file. And so I will click here, it will think for about 10 seconds. It will collect all the data in your project, and it will create a file for you to download. I have done it previously, and then you can open it with Google Maps, our friend, which is great at visualizing this stuff. Make sense? So here, for example, you can see the same path, yes? And you can click, and it will, once it loads, it will show the photos and everything you collected. So also the voice notes, for example, you can play them. Sometimes.
Okay, I'm trying to find some good coffee in this campus.
Right, excellent. Most important thing. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, so for exporting, so that's one thing. So Chen did a project with Urban Queries, right? And he hosted this, but how much do you have to pay for?
$200 per year. $200 per year.
Okay, so let's save some money now with ChatGPT. So even if you don't know much about coding or programming, you can get your data. And so here's the export. So to export this, for example, we'll just press, and this is the map, the morning walk we did in Google Earth. So you can get it and you can open it with Google Earth. Yes. And you can get this, and you can also export in as Excel or as HTML. Yes.
You only have to place the URL.
Yes. So it creates a URL because that was the easiest way for us to program this thing. You can copy paste it. You open here, you copy the URL, you go to your browser, you copy paste, and it will download the Excel file. And that's your data. Yes. And this data, I already have the file open, but this data is all this data. So it's timestamp, yes, the date and the hour, right? And then you have the latitude from the GPS, right? And then the longitude. And remember, your phone has GPS, but they also use triangulation with the base stations to collect data, and also with the Wi-Fi's. Because the Wi-Fi names don't change location, they can use that. So they use all these 3, 4, 5 sources of information to give you a very accurate precision that in theory with the GPS satellite data, you only have 10, 20 meters. Actually, you get like 1 meter most of the time, right? And then you have the type of data point you collected. So every 3, 4, 5 seconds, the app will collect a data point. And when you decide to take a photo, it will say, here's a photo, and here's the link to the photo. Make sense? So this is kind of the format that you can see in Excel very easily. So the good thing, if you want to do something like the map of Chien, you can now go to ChatGPT and go to the Foro model, which is the free one, and it's the one for coding. And you can say the magic prompt. Yes, create a heat map is the keyword, right? So sometimes the hard thing to find is the keyword, right? So a heat map. And if you know the JavaScript library, even better. So there's many JavaScript libraries. Some are cooler than others. The more specific you are, the more to the point it will do. So if you say leaflet.js, this is the map JavaScript library, which is the coolest one. So you say use leaflet.js to do this. And here's the data. And you copy paste the data or you give it as a file. And the context window is so long these days that it doesn't matter. It will just do it. And then it will give you a hard-coded version of this. Take it, you open an editor, you save it. And I think that's the one we just did before. You can open this. And this is our, yes. And this is just this text file. And now you can go to the university website and drop this file there and say, hey guys, check out my work in the Philippines or wherever you are. Make sense? Now, how to work with ChatGPT. So the best way to work is step by step. So do not say what you want from the beginning, just say a very simple thing. So in this case, I say a heat map, and he decided to put these markers. Now I would like the photos to appear here, right? They don't appear. So I can go back and say, hey, great work. Now let's make the photos appear as thumbnails when I click on the marker. Yeah. Okay. Now, why do I say, hey, great work?
But the previous result was funny.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. Anybody else?
You're scared that it's going to turn into the Terminator. So you want to be on the good side of it.
Anybody else? Huh?
Rewarding it? Are you rewarding it?
I'm rewarding it. Yeah, totally. Professor Rizzi, why did I write here? Great work.
Yeah.
It's a machine.
Yeah, I think I'm on the side of encouragement as well.
Yes,
Encourage for you to produce more great work.
Okay, so there's a paper actually that says, do this, I'll tip you $10. He makes the job better, more efficiently and better. Yeah, there is. Yeah. Yeah. How's this possible? Yeah. So the reason is that it's been trained on human data, basically. And you have lots of examples when somebody encourages somebody else to do something, and in humans it works, right? So statistically, it has a lot of examples. And remember, this is just a statistical model, a stochastic model. So it looks at all the human data he has, and you say, oh, and it's just, it's the way it is. Think about it as an improv. You're in an improv class. So the prompts you give are actually affecting you, not just the content. Yeah, these little things. So that's really crazy, but that's how it works. If you say, hey, you are a great computer scientist, help me with this, it also is very good. But the reason I would do it is just being kind to this thing, it makes you feel better, I think. Yeah, so. Okay, so great work. Now let's make the photos appear. No. Great, let's see if it modifies and builds on it. Yes, 120 pixels. Okay, good. So he's doing it. So this is the part he changes, right? So now it became a bit lazy. So it just gave me the snippet, right? To say, hey, please, can you integrate this into the whole HTML page. Let's integrate this into the home page. If you put emojis as well in the prompts, yes, it also helps to be more concise in the replies. I don't know why. Right, so it has a tendency to become lazy sometimes, but sometimes you don't want to split the whole page again because you know exactly where to put that. It's difficult. But anyways, it's quite compliant. Okay, I think it is finished. No, I'm still thinking. Right. So now I copy this, I go back to my editor, I delete this, I replace it, I save it, and let's see what happened. It didn't work. No, maybe.
It's sharing. It's sharing.
Oh, I did. Okay, great. Thank you. Right. So that's it. Great. Excellent. It's good. No? Yes. So the line that I asked him to do earlier. Right. So now this starting to look very good. You can say, put my name all over the page, right? Put a link to my paper somewhere. Yeah. And so on. Sounds good. So that's great. And then you don't have to pay for hosting or whatever. And if you host this in your university, then you go very high in the Google rank, etc., etc., etc. Questions? Yes. Fabulous. Okay. How many of you here have used ChatGPT for this kind of work before? No? Okay, great. Also, another thing I want to tell, which is really funny, like imagine you know what you want to do, but you don't know how to explain it to ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is very good at creating prompts for herself. Yes, yes. Example. Hey, I am a social scientist and I have all this GIS data. I want to show it in my website. In my website, for a website, I would like to be interactive and wow factor, stuff like that. Yes. Well, there are geolocated photos, so on, and audio. And now he create a prompt. Create a prompt based on this. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Maybe now she will not do it. Oh! Right, so it can really help you to create a prompt, and then you can send it back to herself. Or so now he's asking you, would you like HTML, JS, or prototype starter? So now he's starting a specific. Which remember, for a good prompt, you have to be specific. So you have to tell her, let's use Matchbox. But then you have to ask somewhere else or here, which are the best libraries for wow factor in mapping and so on. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So after that, you can do, and many people do this. Like it's hilarious. Like they go to Gemini and create a prompt and send it to ChatGPT. Right? As you can see, also it's a great way to brainstorm, right? So it's incredible. When we were making the qualnotes app here, we had to create an invite system that we have somewhere. An invite system like here. invite system with a QR code. Yeah. So there are many ways to create an invite system in a software. There you can show a token like a password, and whoever has this password can come in your group. But you can also do it by ID. If you have this email, you can come in automatically. Or you can send a link where they type an email, and any email typed there will be out. There are many ways, and some are more secure and some are not. So when we were doing this, it's like, oh my God, I was talking to ChatGPT, we need to create an invite system. How to go about this? And she said, well, you have 3 main architectures for invite systems in softwares. This one, this one, this one. This one has disadvantages, this one. It's like, oh my God, make a table comparison. Makes the table. Wow. Say, oh, well, I want to minimize my work of coding. Oh, then you should use this. Wait, let's do this one. You get it? This high-level advice would be senior developer, super expensive, hard to access. But now you have it at your fingertips, and you can use it for brainstorming, high-level advice also. And it's actually very good at that because there's a lot of knowledge somewhere about this. Make sense? So that's the other thing. So you can use it as a thinking partner. If anybody here is familiar with the 6 thinking hats of Edward de Bono. Anybody? Everybody gets a different hat in the room. The black one is the negative guy. The blue one is the rules guy. The red one is the creativity guy. And it gives a role to everyone discussing a project. Everybody is not ashamed to be negative. You're wearing the black hat. Oh yeah, it's your job. I'm not angry with you. It's just, you're just looking at the risks. You get it? So it's a very good brainstorming tool from the 60s. But you can give ChatGPT this kind of frameworks and say, okay, let's imagine we're in a 6 thinking hats discussion. What do you think about my project? Bah, 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 and you can build on it. It's fantastic. Creativity is being taken away from us.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So if you take the qualnotes app,
Yes.
our geolocation, that's the last one, but the audio visual data in the Excel file that shows up as URL to
Yes.
the server.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT has access to this data.
Anything you put in ChatGPT, she will have access to it.
Yeah, so we just need to put this URL in and it would have an access.
In theory, the chats are private, but anything you put here, the CIA will know. So if you don't want, many times you can replace these by placeholders. Yes, you can replace this data by lat1, lat2, lat3, if you really need to anonymize it. Yes.
What would that do? I mean,
and then you ask ChatGPT to build this on this data, and then you
flip.
and you manually do it, or you can say, hey, the data is in a separate file. It has this format, and then you replace the files. Make sense?
Yeah, because I was thinking about not about these geolocation points, but more about audio visual. What if you don't just get directly from you also have some of the documentation that you want to put in later into the map?
Yeah.
How would you be able to do that?
Documentation, like,
I mean, in text or notes or photos that you're taking aside from the app. So,
oh yeah. After the field work, you mean you want to add things in the map?
yeah, which are not done within the app itself, so they're not.
Oh, I see. So let's say you go to a trip on the Amazonas, you collect a lot of photos, and then you come back here in Melbourne, and you want to modify the map or thing. Yeah, this app only collects. We just do one thing, collection, and editing and so on. You can put in Google Earth, for example, right? You can go here and say, oh, I don't like this location. I can edit it and change the time here or change the location somewhere. Make sense? you can go and say, I'm going to place this in Barcelona. Yes, which is something like plus 42, 0.9 something, right? And then it will change the location to Barcelona. Make sense? That point, I think, or whatever. Well, I'm not sure it is there now. Make sense?
Yeah.
So you can edit. There are many. Oh, here it is. I just changed it, right?
Hmm.
Almost. So yeah, you can do that, but there's better ways and software to do it. Yeah. These files look scary, but they are not. They're not. Right. Great. Excellent. So that's one thing you can do. Next part of the presentation, who of you use NVivo as a coding tool? You use it or use it?
Or to like, it's frustrating. If I can't use any other thing apart from MVivo, I'm looking forward to it. But it's a very frustrating app. It's really, really frustrating. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I just hate it.
Go on.
Oh, I don't want me to go on. I will take over this whole session when it comes to MVivo. My feelings about it is so strong. Go on.
You're not alone. Anyway, who knows the history of NVivo? So NVivo was created by a human geographer or ethnographer professor in Sydney, I think, in the 60s or 70s. No, 80s, 90s, sorry. 80s, 90s. And as you can see, it shows, no, because it's super clunky mainframe, I think. So it was this professor, female, and his boyfriend, husband, was a computer scientist. And she says, hey, we're doing this coding manually and it's terrible. And they said, let's do the software. And they built NVivo, which became a $500 million company, which they sold to some private equity fund. This monster private equity funds. It's now part of Lumivero. And it's quite expensive, the license, I heard. And it's very clunky because it has a lot of legacy things. But it's a very funny story. So the advice is get a computer scientist boyfriend, husband. Right. But the good thing is now, if you give me $50,000 with this ChatGPT Vibe coding, maybe $10,000, you can build NVivo by yourselves.
Okay.
Like you could go to Melbourne Union and say, give me $10,000. I'm going to make NVivo and we're going to save $50,000 per year because that's how much money we pay to NVivo every year. Yeah. Makes sense? Right. So that's crazy, right? That's really crazy. So there are many functions in NVivo. Which functions do you use in NVivo? Coding? Coding? Coding.
Just coding.
Just coding. So this guy here is for coding. It's great. It was basically born for summarizing and coding. Does it make sense?
Ask me again.
You
Ask me again.
in
Ask me later, like after 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah. So you can get your text, you put it here, and you say, imagine you are NVivo. That's it. And you say, code this, and it will do a pretty good job at doing it. Does it make sense?
I think so.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And then you go back and you open it up in Vivo.
You can forget about NVivo now, because once you have coded the results, I don't know what you guys do in NVivo, you visualize it somehow, you make groups, clusters, and all that stuff. This guy is great at all that thing.
Mm.
Yeah, makes sense.
So what's the concept?
Imagine you are in Vivo. Yeah, yeah.
Actually doing all the lessons are just immediately here in the work anyway. So things already creating UI works that works using ChatGPT.
You are welcome. So that's incredible. And that was not possible maybe 2 years ago, but now it's more and more possible. And then there's the other crazy thing called agents. 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 So you can build your own agent on OpenAI and on a website called Manus. Yeah, Rebecca, thank you for the question. We'll go back in 2 minutes. And so this is amazing because you can give your agent access to the internet and say, hey, check all these websites and look for digital queries, whatever, and see what I've missed. Yeah. And it will start working for you and it will cost you some dollars, but that's fine, right?
How is it different from anything?
The agents work while you're sleeping. Like some things are not automatic. Going to a website and reading it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. If you have to check 1,000 websites, then it will take 10,000 seconds. That's 3 hours, right? So 3 hours. And then you'll find one, come back next morning and say, I found this in this website in China or whatever it is. Make sense? And the same for literature review, papers, and so on. It does a great job. Does it make sense?
Is the agent also part of the ChatGPT as well?
Come again?
Is the agent thing part of the ChatGPT?
So the agent needs cloud infrastructure to work, right? So you can run it from your laptop if you kind of run a local thing here. But most of the platforms, they offer you their services. The agent needs to crawl the web. So that's difficult to do by yourself because the websites don't like robots going to their servers, so they will block you very quickly. So there's a strategies to go around that. So they offer all these wrapper services that makes it very convenient to use their services. Yeah, makes sense. You can do it by yourself, but then it gets very technical very quickly.
So is the agent same as deep search?
No, deep search is like the chat of ChatGPT. I'm not sure if they have an agent now. I know OpenAI has an agent. Yeah, makes sense. And this agent idea links very well with remember before we said, don't say everything at one go, say step by step. It works, you add something, right? This way of working, it's a very commonsensical way of working, right? Like when you break down a problem, it's easier to solve it if you have a recipe for the steps, right? So it's the same for ChatGPT. It's incredible what you can build when you break down things step by step in the right steps. It's incredible. Yeah. And the other and most obvious for you is also research papers. Maybe you have a folder full of research papers and you say, oh my God, I have to read all this. Oh no. I just want to know what's relevant to me here, right? And kind of Google does this work a bit for you, but there's this amazing tool that I love. Notebook LM. Do you know this one? Notebook LM?
No.
Oh, Notebook LM is amazing. Right. So this Notebook LM is like discovering fire. Yeah. First, some paper that it's hard to understand because it's very technical or here. So here I have some of you know I'm developing a new ergonomic mouse, right? So here you can add your difficult to understand papers because I'm not a domain expert in muscles of the hand, physiology of the hand, and so on. I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. But I want to learn what muscle groups get activated when I use my ergonomic mouse, which are different muscles of when I use a normal mouse. So I can go to talk to a physiotherapist Melbourne Uni or someone, friend, but I don't have any friend, physiotherapist. Or I can take all these papers I found about this and drop them here and then ask questions about it. What? It's really good. Yeah, it's very good at summarizing. This notebook LM will reference the source where it takes the info when it makes a summary. So I took this from this paper. I took this from this paper and so on. It's also very good at making podcasts.
So is the referencing accurate? Like with ChatGPT, it sometimes creates references that don't really exist.
Yeah, it's accurate, and ChatGPT also got much better these days. I mean, if you want to commit career suicide, just copy paste directly and don't check anything. Very long conversations, transcripts, you can drop here and it will make a summary of this. And then there's the audio overview. So I'm going to take, for example, you can give, and this is a very beautiful example. I took the source code of qualnotes, which I coded by hand with my hands and help of ChatGPT. But anyway, it's like 50,000 lines of code. I drop it here and it created a podcast based on that. And it understood the menus, how they work from the source code. And it created this beautiful podcast. It's like, oh my God, wow, yeah, it's amazing. Wow. It's really, really interesting. And the podcast gives you ideas. So you can drop your draft paper, for example. And it creates a podcast of 10 minutes about the paper. Oh, the authors are onto something here. Da, da, da. And then it, because you have all this knowledge, it connects with other papers by itself. And that gives you ideas on how to evolve your paper.
And so it's free.
Huh? This one is free.
So you can also actually create lecture notes if you have to give a workshop about.
Yeah. So GPT is very good. And when the output, everybody will agree on what's a good lecture notes, right? I think we can agree on that. And everybody agrees on what are bad lecture notes. When you have this situation where there's a kind of ideal, it's very good. Where it's terrible, for example, the case, I developed this ergonomic mouse, right? And I discovered a few things that are new, because it's new. And you use these tools, and in some places it gets stuck in the old thinking. Even if you tell it, it just gets stuck, and you can see it's a stochastic model. It doesn't really understand what it's saying. Because the new knowledge is a very small droplet in the bucket of knowledge, and things were always done like that. So it kind of has very strong biases, which is great when the ideal, everybody agrees on what's the ideal lecture note. So if you have this situation, it's great. So filling forms, grants, applications, it's great. Because people don't want crazy ideas in a grant application. They want the typical, there is this problem and I am going to solve it. Give me the money. It will create these benefits, right? That's what everybody expects. So it's very good in this. So for writing papers, abstract summaries, discussions, it's very good. It's not very good when there's this unexpected new knowledge that is hard to put in reference with other things, and then it kind of gets stuck and it doesn't know what to do with it. Make sense? Great. Okay, somebody asked about the privacy. Oh my God, we have lots of questions. Right. Rebecca, I agree. I gave up with in vivo. Welcome to the club. What about privacy? What's the university position on ChatGPT? I cannot answer this. I know my university in Sweden, they let you use whatever tool. You're an adult, you can use it. They subscribe to all the AI services. There's a very good ones called Undermine. Do you know this one? Undermine? Yes? No?
You know that.
They are on it. Yeah.
It's on Spark AI, which is
Oh,
kind of shit.
I don't know.
But
Please send it to me.
it's crap compared to chat. It's not a shame, but that
Right.
takes the data you know. It's like
Oh.
secure.
Okay.
So that's like the current policy. And I'm trying to get it through my fix at the moment. So I'll let you know how I go 2 months and get it through.
Excellent. So do you use Google Scholar to search papers? How do you like Google Scholar? I love it. 0 to 10. 7.
Or because I hate your chance.
6.
5, 6, yeah.
6.
So why did you say 6, 5, 4?
Because it's okay, it's getting stuff done, but sometimes I'm unable to find something very relevant to what I'm running.
Exactly. It
You
only
use the right keywords.
the right keywords. It's not your job to find the right keywords. It's ChatGPT job. So these guys, they found this problem and they created this agent search. So you put the keywords and it helps you refine the prompt. Once it has the prompt, it sends their agents. They have partnered with EBSCO and all these big publishers. It's amazing. So it gets 80% of all the things that are out there. So that's incredible. If you're not using these, so this is my search history, right? So practical case studies that qualitatively evaluate how effective business, these are all my searches. Let's see the last one. So here I'm interested to find out papers that indicate if the frequency impacts the health of the professionals, how much you click, basically. And it will give me the reference, and these references are correct. Not only correct, they link to the PDF paper directly. And it tells you the relevance, like here, 83% match, and why. So you don't even have to open the PDF. This is incredible. Makes sense?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. So yeah, totally. It's like $10 per month, but it saves so much time. So this is an example of an agent that you could program by yourself.
Will you do that in ChatGPT?
No, you could create your own agent, but then the problem is always accessing the databases. You can access one time, but if you start accessing from your agent, they will block you. But these guys have partnered with the databases, Elsevier and et cetera, et cetera. So they have a deal. Makes sense? This is like discovering fires, like, oh my God. And this gets you 80% of the coverage.
Amazing.
Yeah. So yeah. Wonderful. Okay. So we will stop here. Thank you so much for coming. I hope this helps you improve your impact, save money, be happier with coding. Any questions? No? Yes, questions? And you can download the app for free. I'm here for 2 more weeks. So hit me up if you have issues with your app. Happy to troubleshoot it. Yeah. Have a
It's really great for qualnotes. So doing interviews and switch from
yeah, and because for analysis, we don't do analysis, but you don't need analysis anymore these days because you have ChatGPT. Right. Thank you, everybody. Online, do you have any more questions? Is there an issue of hallucinations? Anna Beasley. Yes, there is. There is issue, especially when your prompt gets very long. There's a thing called the context window, and it cannot handle so much. That's why breaking things down works much, much better. Same with humans. Like the way we write papers is like, okay, now I'm going to do the introduction. I spent 3 days in the introduction, right? You don't just go, bam. It doesn't work like that.
you said something about bias for models. So it was suggested to me to use the university's AI to essentially do a dual study of what I'm doing through NVivo to come up with the codes and all that stuff, right? If the chatbot has bias, because the whole reason I was going to do it was to identify my own bias in the research because it's qualitative. What are your thoughts on that? It's bias, right?
Bias in the coding, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
I guess that's why you're there, right? You're the human in the loop.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically your job.
It's going to be my job.
Science where it's being done is that you do your own coding. That's liberal, for instance, liberal speeches have been in the last 20 years.
Mm.
Then you have your own coding, GPT or an AI to do the coding for you. And that's a black box. You don't know what's going on. Then you can hear actually how well, how deep your coding is.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Yeah.
so we have Zerafina, digital scientist who does this kind of research.
Mhm.
Maybe good to talk to her to see how she extracts the bias, the biases from the human and together.
Yeah. It's interesting. For sure.
Any other questions?
And that can be a question about his work.
Yeah, so according to the US copyright law, only work made by humans is copyrightable. So if you're a human, you can copyright your work. If the machine made the work, you cannot copyright that. So anything created with Sora AI, the images, the Studio Ghibli copycats, are part of the battles because it was made with a machine. Even if you put as prompt your original image, nobody owns the copyright on that because according to the US copyright law, it was made by a machine. Make sense? So it's very tricky. There's this, how would they know? How would they know? That's another issue, right? If they don't know, then that's another issue. Yeah. There's this guy, Space Opera AI Gen. Do we have time? Or is somebody else coming here? No? Okay, do you remember this guy? This guy goes to ChatGPT and puts a nice prompt and creates this, wins a competition in Boulder, Colorado, $300. He said, I made this with AI. He starts touring the world because he received death threats because of this. Anyway, he became famous. So he's touring the world because of this. Great. And then a few months later, he doesn't own the copyright. And there was a court case in the US, and the judge said, nobody owns the copyright because a machine made it. And the guy said, but I spent more than 100 prompts trying to find the perfect prompt. And the judge say, even more proof that you didn't do it. So, yeah, so that's the thing. Ouch. Yeah. But he still got the death threats anyway. So, yeah, America. Right. So, yeah, it's very tricky.
So then if you've made your kind of platform using prompts from AI, this is just getting into a weird tangent now.
Yeah.
Does that mean that your business is like potentially not copyrighted?
Very good. Very good.
It can be. So I could just go and copy it and then sell it in the street.
Yeah.
But that's like the future of like what can happen with business. Right? I'm just thinking about this.
What's your name, sir? What's your name?
My name's Sam.
So Sam says, because I use ChatGPT to make the app, qualnotes, does he have the right to just because I don't own the copyright. And well, first you can do that because it's open source.
Mm.
So just because of that.
Mm.
And second, I used ChatGPT to dialogue and interact and things, but I just didn't just copy paste directly everything, right? Probably,
There's a little bit of spice in there from you.
I would say a lot of spice. But that's another issue.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it applies to software. Actually, it's a very good question. How is that? It's like if you make a painting and one part of the painting with AI, what happens to the copyright?
Yeah.
It's a very tricky and it's a very good question.
It's interesting.
You should write a paper about it.
Yeah.
No, but it's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, super interesting.
So anyway, but qualnotes is open source, so go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be very happy if you fork it and
Mhm.
deploy it. And I was telling Latfun and Ritzi that Melbourne Uni just get the source code and make your own app for your researchers. The problem is the maintenance and all that stuff. It's so much headache. So, but yeah, it is possible. Yeah. Well, that's it. Any more questions? Thank you to you, and I'll see you in the next time. Ciao, ciao. All right. We did it. High five. It was recorded.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's great.